Hey Potterheads, and welcome to episode 1 of the SecretKeepers Podcast, covering Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, chapters 1 through 7. Sit back, relax, and enjoy, because this is the Secret Keepers. Everybody, thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Colin.
I'm your co-host, Taylor.
And I'm the star of the show, Jared.
We're going to take you on a wonderful wizarding adventure. So let's get into it. Start things off, Jared. Based off all the information you have about Harry Potter right now, which is
7 chapters worth.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, think about that one. What do you think is going to happen in this book? Like, what's your take on what this book's going to be like? That's my first question for you. So we get a little bit of a prediction in there so that we can compare it later on, just see what we think.
Hokey Pete's, where am I supposed to start?
So you don't have a prediction. I guess that's fair. You haven't gone through one book yet. But you do know that it's called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. You have the cover of the book, which gives you a little bit of insight, I suppose. But other than that, you really don't have anything.
There's a boy named Harry Potter. You got that, right?
Yeah. And I know he's got a lightning bolt on his forehead. I figured that.
Yeah, we figured that. You made that connection. Yeah, that was good. And the glasses. He wears some glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, kind of figure things out. All right. Oh,
I feel like a genius right now.
All right. So, chapter 1, The Boy Who Lived. All right. We start out when we begin at number 4, Privet Drive, where we meet the Dursleys. The Dursleys consist of 3 people, Vernon, Petunia, and Dudley. We learn a little bit about Vernon Dursley. We find out he's the director of a firm called Grunnings. They make drills, and he thinks about drills a lot.
Just loves drills.
Yeah. We also hear, or I guess J.K. also states that he's a beefy boy, and I quote, a beefy boy.
With a very thick neck, I think, right?
Yeah, very thick neck. He's just a tank of a man, really.
And he's a not very pleasant person in general.
That will come up. That'll be a recurring theme as we go through these first few chapters. He's married to Petunia, who is thin and long-necked. And that's pretty much all we hear about her at the moment. Oh, never mind. We find out that she and Mrs. Potter are sisters, making her, as we'll find out, Harry's aunt. And the Potters, it says, are the very un-Dursley-ish, and they don't want Dudley mixing with their child, so they never had the Potters over or had Harry hang out with little Dudley or anything like that. So we're sticking with Mr. Dursley. He leaves for work, but this time it's a little bit different than the norm. He sees a cat reading a map. He sees lots of people in cloaks, owls in broad daylight, lots of owls. And he hears the news reporting of shooting stars happening instead of rain. So he's kind of like, something's not right. Then he hears some people talking, and he hear Harry's name, Harry and Potter, and he tries to convince himself that it's not his nephew and has nothing to do with that. But he begins to panic.
He couldn't even remember his own nephew's name.
Right.
That's how great of a guy he is.
I was very confused at this point in the book.
Yeah.
Pages in, I had no clue. There's a cat reading a map, and what the world is going on? This is ridiculous. And then owls in broad daylight. What is going on? This is confusing.
Yeah. He continues. He tries to block it out of his mind on his way to work, and then he's called a Muggle by a man in a cloak. And there's also a reference to you know who. He hears you know who. So I had in my notes here, I was going to ask you what you thought Muggle meant right off the bat. before we got into it, before they tell you what it meant? Did you have any thoughts at all, or did you just kind of?
I kind of passed over it. I was so confused with the cat and what is going on that a Muggle just kind of was like, okay, cool. You know who and Muggles and what's going on.
All right. That's fair. Yeah. So he gets home. He asks Petunia what his nephew's name was. She confirms it was Harry, and he kind of tosses and turns, and he goes to sleep. Then we meet Albus Dumbledore, and he's got his
also known as Dumbly.
Dumbly, yeah.
Dumbly. We'll be saying Dumbly a lot.
Yep. And he has his handy-dandy put-outer. Now, this put-outer, it takes the lights, basically, out of streetlights. I want to know what your thoughts are on this, because to me, this thing is worthless. It's so pointless. Like, why not just, cut the power somewhere or something, you know?
I mean, yeah, he has a wand. Why not just, there is a spell, right?
There's got to be. We don't know any magic spells, but if you're magic, I don't know. And so you're looking out your window, and all of a sudden every street light goes out. I don't know. Seems kind of oh, no one's gonna notice this, but everyone's gonna notice this type of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, right.
Maybe they shorted.
Yeah, I suppose. Anyways, he introduces us to McGonagall, who is also the cat that was reading the map.
What do you think of that, Jared? That was something, huh?
Yeah, I don't really understand how that worked.
Well, you see, she was a cat, and then she was a human.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what happened.
She was a human who looked like a cat.
No, she's a human.
And
then she was a cat. Yeah, she's just a big old cat.
I mean, I suppose that's.
She did. It does mention that the cat had peculiar
had
shaped,
glasses,
markings around its eyes. Yeah. So
right, yeah.
You assume McGonagall has glasses, which she has glasses. So
thanks.
She was a cat who kind of resembled McGonagall.
Yeah. All right. So where was I? Oh yeah. He asked her why she's not out celebrating now that you know who is gone. We then learn that you know who is actually Voldemort. That's a key name.
Voldemort.
The French say Voldemort.
We should have asked Jared how he pronounced that. Crap.
Oh, my fault. We'll get.
I didn't know you're allowed to say that word out loud.
Yeah.
So everyone is as scared of his name except for Dumbly. Is the only one that Voldy. That's Voldemort. We're gonna call him Voldy. Maybe. That's the only one that Voldy is frightened of. So right off the bat, you're getting Dumbly. He's a pretty high up there dude.
Yeah, and then he offers McGonagall a lemon drop.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
He's a big old fan of candy.
He is, which is surprising.
He's a quirky man.
Is that just random?
What?
Is that random, or is that going to come back? Somehow a lemon drop's going to turn into some magical trick.
You never know, Jared. This is a wild universe we're living in.
We're providing you with facts at the moment.
Yeah.
These are all facts. Okay. Then it dives a little bit into how Voldy is gone or why he went bye-bye. Turns out he went to Godric's Hollow to find James and Lily Potter, and he kills both of them, but he could not kill Harry. And we also learned that it's surprising that he couldn't kill Harry because he just killed loads of people, all kinds of people. That's
many people.
Many people. Yeah, so that's just a small background on Voldy and why he went away, and I think there's more that comes up in later chapters, so we'll wait for that.
Yeah. Yep.
Then Dumbly decides...
Dumbly says, or McGonagall asks, how did Harry survive? Then Dumbly says, we can only guess. We may never know.
Whoa.
Jared, do you think we'll ever find out?
Yeah.
Oh, what's your guess? What's your guess, Jared?
That what? Oh, he survived?
How did Harry survive? The biggest, meanest, nastiest, evilest wizard ever. How did he survive that? He was just a baby.
I don't know. Some green light blinded you know who, and he fell over down the cliff and died and perished everlastingly. And then he came back. He came back to life.
What cliff? Where did the cliff
There's a
come
cliff around there somewhere.
He's in the house.
He's in a little boy's room.
All right.
Okay, there's Jared's prediction.
We should make like a Excel spreadsheet, an Excel sheet of.
I get that.
Of Jared's predictions. Taylor, that's your job. Anyways.
Okay, I'll make the expel. Sorry, Jared. I almost ruined something for you, but not really.
Not really. Anyways, so back to it. We find out Dumbledore's going to leave Harry with the only family that he has left, that being the Dursleys, which all the setup at the beginning of the chapter was from. That way, his goal is so that Harry doesn't grow up with just this massive head that can't fit through doorways, because he's going to be famous for getting rid of Moldy Voldy.
Yeah, and McGonagall was not a fan of this at first.
Because
that's a bad idea. These are terrible people. Which we find out, yes, that's true. They are not very. They're abusive. They're an abusive family. She was right.
They're the worst.
Dumbledore was wrong.
They're the worst. Dumbledore's never wrong, but they're the worst.
Oh, okay. Dumbledore's never wrong.
Yeah. Then we meet Hagrid, and he's a big boy, and he is on Sirius's bike, which apparently flies. It says that he's twice as tall and 5 times as wide as a normal man. So
he is too big to be allowed. That's what the book said.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's too big to be allowed. I thought that was sweet.
Baby dolphin feet.
Yes, that was another one that was like, whoa, that is quite the metaphor.
And so if he's twice as tall and 5 times as wide, that means he's like 12 feet tall. An average man's probably 6 feet, right? And that means he's got like 175-inch waist. Think about that.
Yes, he's a human walrus.
That's over. That's like a 14-foot waistband or something. I don't know the exact numbers, but anyways. So he comes flying through the midnight sky on this flying motorcycle. Which, here's another question for you: How on earth do people not hear this bike and wake up? Like they're all trying to be
the lights were out. The lights were out, so I mean, it was just...
So he was driving his motorbike in the middle of the night with no headlight on it.
In the air.
That sounds safe, especially for the transfer of a small child.
Yep. Great.
Any of this happened.
It's magic, Jared.
It's magic.
Yeah, okay, so it's magic that it flies through the air.
Magic! You know. Anyways.
Okay, so he got the motorcycle from
they land,
Sirius
and it
Black.
also says that Harry's asleep.
Yeah, baby sleep
how's a
through
baby
everything.
going to sleep riding on a motorcycle?
They sleep through everything.
Taylor, you have a baby.
I do. I have two babies.
Tell me, would your baby sleep on a motorcycle?
She sleeps with the vacuum going, so I mean that's kind of loud. But with a motorcycle, no, probably not.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay. Case closed.
Yep. Then Hagrid gives Harry to Dumbledore.
Did we say whose motorcycle he was riding?
Yeah, Sirius's bike. He said he borrowed it from Sirius.
Oh, okay.
Who's serious?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Sirius. I'm so serious.
It's a cool name though, right, Jared?
Sure. Yeah.
It's the radio station, like Sirius, the radio.
Your sex time?
Yep, Sirius.
Yep.
Anyways, then Dumbledore puts Harry on the front doorstep of the Dursleys, and we see Harry's scar. And McGonagall's all like, "Can't you just fix his scar? He's gonna grow up with that for the rest of his life." And Dumbledore says something like, "They can come in handy sometimes. I have a scar that's the exact replica or map of the London Underground."
Oh God, I didn't note that.
Here's my question. Did he cut himself like the London Underground? There's like three possible scenarios. One, he cut himself like the London Underground. Two, he magicked the London Underground to match a scar that he has. Or three is pure chance. And all three of them do not make any sense whatsoever.
Nope, it was a very pointless comment, and I'm pretty sure it's not even true.
Oh, because you've seen his knee. Anyways, the chapter ends with Dumbledore putting him on the front doorstep, and they expect to explain all of this with a letter.
And hundreds of people all over the country toast to Harry Potter, the boy who lived.
Yes. Then we get to chapter 2, the Vanishing Glass. So we cut into 10 years later. It's Dudley's birthday, and Harry has to make breakfast. Is it Petunia wakes him up, or does Dudley wake?
Petunia wakes him up.
Okay, I'm getting the book and the movie confused. But so Petunia wakes him up.
Because the movies are terrible.
Oh, Taylor, you can't. Okay. Anyways, so Harry sleeps in the cupboard under the stairs. We learned that, and we learned that Dudley is a spoiled fat boy. Now.
And when he's a baby, he looked like a pink beach ball.
I missed that part.
Yeah, I noted it. Yeah.
Very, very good. Harry, then we get a little bit about Harry. His looks, which Jared noted on a little bit at the beginning. He's got black hair, green eyes, a lightning bolt scar, round glasses, and he's just thin as a whistle. Which I think Jared noted some of those things are what we have in our logo. So he's kind of figuring that out. Pretty good.
Nice work, Jared. You're coming along.
Yeah. We hear that Harry learns that his parents died in a car crash from the Dursleys. That's what they tell him. And then he finishes making breakfast, and Dudley's out counting his presents, and finds out he's got 36 presents. That's less than 37. Last year I had 37. She's a big.
You make a good Dudley.
I don't know if I should be offended by that or not.
Well, sound just like him. You kind of look like him too.
Last year I had 37. I'm gonna throw a fit. Oh, yeah. So they say, okay, we're gonna get you more presents. Anyways, Dudley gets a bunch of new computer games, and now here's a question for you. He is playing computer, and this is what, 1996?
Yep. Jared wasn't even born yet.
What computer games are these? Is this like
Frogger?
That's not like he's like super pumped to get like Tetris or something. I don't know. I guess I was.
When did computer games start becoming a thing?
I don't know. You're the oldest. Tell us, old
Oregon
man.
Trail. When did the Oregon Trail come out?
He probably was playing Oregon Trail. Okay. So Harry gets to go on Dudley's party trip because normally he would stay with Mrs. Fig, the cat lady next door. He can't go to Mrs. Fig's house because she has a broken leg. And he can't go to Petunia's friend because she's in Majorca. Have you ever heard of Majorca? I don't know where that is.
No, I know.
I didn't know if it was a real place or not. It's probably in Great Britain somewhere, I guess. Anyways. So Vernon says Harry can go as long as there's no funny business. Now, we get a little bit of a peek at what this funny business stuff that he's talking about is. Like when Harry got his hair cut super short, and then overnight it grew all the way back.
That's kind of weird, huh, Jared?
Yep. Kind of like my hair, though, sometimes.
Oh.
Get a haircut every other day.
He has the case of the shrinking sweater where he doesn't want to wear a sweater or something, and as they try to pull it on tighter and tighter, it gets smaller and smaller until it can fit like a doll. Or when he pops up onto the top of the school when Dudley and his friends are chasing him. And I just wanted to ask you kind of answered the question right there, but is there anything like this that you see in your life that's just a little bit weird that maybe we should be aware of? It's just open to both of you.
No, I think that was directed towards Jared.
Wouldn't that be a cool talent?
What?
Or magic? No, you're running away.
Magic? Yes, it would be very cool to be magic. I would know because I'm magic.
Anytime you got in trouble, you could just blame it on your magic. How'd you end up on top of the school? Magic.
I try that. People don't believe it, but
Why'd you steal that? Magic.
Yeah. So, anyways, they get to the zoo. Oh, and here's the first of a super sick Harry roast. He makes a note. It's noted that he thinks that the gorilla looks a lot like Dudley. He's like,
oh, boom, roasted.
Sick burn, bro. Sick burn. Yeah, then they go to the reptile house and they're checking out this huge snake, and it's not doing anything for Dudley and his friend, and they're beating on the glass. And then they get bored of him, so they walk away. And then it looks at Harry and it winks. And Harry winks back. Then they start having a little bit of a conversation. And we learn that the snake is from Brazil. Jared, do you have any thoughts on that?
No.
Okay.
All snakes are from Brazil, I thought.
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Then Dudley sees that it's moving and talking or whatever, comes back, pushes Harry out of the way, and the Harry gets all ticked off. Dudley's looking at the glass. The glass disappears, and the snake gets out, and everyone starts freaking out. And then, very important point here, the snake looks at Harry and says, "Thanks, amigo," which brings up a question I have. How did the snake learn 2 different languages?
Yeah, because that's
Magic.
Spanish.
Do they speak Spanish in Brazil?
No, they speak Portuguese.
Magic.
Why doesn't it talk in Portuguese?
Maybe is amigo the same in Portuguese and Spanish?
I don't know. I don't speak either language.
Well, that's what Google is for.
Yeah,
Brazil speaks Portuguese.
Yeah,
Okay,
'cause
it's
they-
the same. It's the
It's
same.
It is
It's not Brazilian.
So
It
it
is the same.
speaks English and Portuguese.
Yeah,
How?
because he's from
Been
Brazil.
at zoo the whole life. People have been going, "Hi, amigos."
Yeah, probably.
Hi, friend. Oh, it learns.
Well, it's kind of like there's something to that. Also, oh boy,
What?
I just about gave away a spoiler, but
Okay. Anyways, yeah. Then the chapter closes, and Harry they go home. Harry gets in a lot of trouble. He goes to bed, and he starts trying to think of the car crash that his parents were in, and he sees a blinding green light and burning pain in his forehead, and that's the end of the chapter. So. Next up, chapter 3, the letters from no one. So we find out now that where they're going to school, Harry's going to be going to Stonewall High, and Dudley's going to Smeltings, which apparently is a pretty prestigious school for fat boys who bully people.
and you get a stick.
And you get a stick to whack people, which I thought was kind of funny. He's like in the middle of the chapter, he's like whacking his dad with it, and his dad's like perfectly okay with it.
Yeah.
It's like it teaches character. Rah, rah, rah. Start carrying a stick around and whacking people with it. Anyways,
I didn't carry a big stick.
yeah. Anyway, Harry starts talking about how he's kind of juiced to go to a different school than Dudley. And they talk about sticking Harry's head in the toilet. And then we have another sick Harry roast. He talks about the Dudley getting his head stuck in the toilet. And he says, "The poor toilet's never had anything as horrible as your head down it.
Oh, that is a good roast.
Oh, man. What a sick burn. Sick burn. This guy, he's on fire. Anyways, Aunt Petunia is dyeing some clothes of Dudley's old clothes for Harry, and then the mail comes. And Vernon says, Harry, go get the mail. So he goes and gets the mail, and there's a letter to Harry. And it's addressed the cupboard under the stairs. And Jared, that is why that is an important point. Which begs the question, if they know that he is living in the cupboard under the stairs, can't they like step in and be like, dude, you can't put this dude under a cupboard under the stairs. Like that's like
You would think, Colin. You would think.
seems like the author is just really set on making these people sound terrible.
Yeah.
But anyways, so he gets his letter and he's reading it in the living room and gets it taken away and they burn it. They just burn it, which just another point to how bad these people are. So Vernon starts freaking out about this letter being addressed to him under the stairs, and they give Harry a promotion to Dudley's second bedroom. The next morning, Harry gets another letter, and this time it's addressed to his new room, which is what, like the second bedroom, or the smallest room for Privet Drive or something. And he gets it taken away, of course, and he doesn't get to read it. But a question for you, Jared. At this point, are you a little bit creeped out about this?
Not really. Weird things are happening in this world that I was being introduced to, so I was open to anything about right now.
The next day, 3 letters arrive, and Vernon nails the mail slot shut. Then there's 12 letters the next day, and then the next day there's 24 that are all inside eggs.
And he's going nuts. He's going great. He's going loco, crazy, loco, bonkers.
Yeah, Vernon is. Then the next day, some 40-some letters come flying down the chimney, and Harry doesn't get a single one of them. Like he's trying to catch them out of the air and stuff. And it's like, bro, seriously, pick one up off the floor.
Yep, no kidding.
Pick one up off the floor, run up to the bathroom, lock the door, and read it. Just like you do when you steal stuff from your siblings, and you steal their phone, you run up to the bathroom, you lock the door, and you read and you do stuff, right?
Why didn't it just get delivered to Harry?
It was.
No, it wasn't. It was down the chimney, it could have just flown right into his, right into his room, right onto his bed, and he could have read it, and then it would have flown out.
That's a good point.
You just blew my mind. I never thought about that. I have such a problem with this, but I've never thought about that.
Well, didn't he board up his window, his room window?
So
I'm sure he did.
They showed up in eggs. Can't they just show up in the middle of?
Yes, exactly.
Like, hey, your pillow's made of giant letter.
Yes.
That's
yep.
true.
Your bed is all giant letters. Anyways, so Vernon says, "That's it, we're leaving," and the letters show up at the hotel they go to as well. So then they start freaking out. They drive around, and Harry realizes it's his birthday the next day, which, okay, big whoop. Anyways, I have also noted here his birthday present last year was a coat hanger in old socks.
Very nice birthday present.
Very nice. That's a sick burn by the Dursleys right there. That's what that is. Sick burn.
They got him good there.
Can you imagine opening that? I'm just thinking about it now. I don't know why. All right, pull it together. Anyways, so Uncle Vernon starts freaking out. They're trying to find a place that they can stay at where no one's going to find him. And he finds a place on a rock in the middle of the sea. And he says, that's the place, we're going there. And he brings rations, a bag of chips for each person, and 4 bananas.
Plenty of food.
Plenty of food for like 3 hours. So the storm comes. It's cold. Harry's sleeping on the floor. He's not enjoying it. And then he's looking at Dudley's watch as his countdown for his birthday. And then exactly, and I mean exactly, when the second hand ticks midnight, there's a knock on the door. Exactly.
Exactly.
It's a lot. Exactly. Like, first of all, so multiple problems here. One, there's no way Dudley's watch is exactly what the actual time is, right? Because everyone's watch is just a little bit off.
True.
So the person pounding at the door, which we find out.
Maybe it's satellite.
In 1996?
I don't know.
He's not magic, so you can't say it's magic.
All right.
Maybe it's satellite. Okay, we'll go with that. Yeah, and that's how the chapter ends. So, chapter 4, the Keeper of the Keys. We find out it's Hagrid. Yay!
He's back.
He's back. He busts down the door and comes inside, and he immediately recognizes Harry because he has his mother's eyes. His green eyes.
Which are green.
Green mother's eyes.
Why didn't he notice maybe the lightning bolt or the something else? He noticed his eyes.
Well, because the lightning bolt could have been covered up by his long hair, maybe.
Oh.
So Uncle Vernon comes storming down the stairs, and he demands that Hagrid leaves because he's breaking and entering, which he's not wrong.
Not his house.
Oh, he's living there for the
You
night.
still can't just bust someone's door down and say, "Hey,
What if it's
give me
Hagrid's
that
house?
kid."
What if it's Hagrid's house?
I suppose I didn't think of that. It could be Hagrid's house. Guy, another mind.
No, it's not. It's not Hagrid's
Oh, no,
house. It's
dude, we learned
the
it's
old man. The old man who loaned him the boat.
Are you sure? I
Yes.
thought he just had a boat.
No, he owned the shack too.
Okay, we'll go with that. Anyways, so Uncle Vernon's he's got a rifle pointed at Hagrid and says, "You gotta leave." And Hagrid's just like, "Nope." Bends your rifle, ties it in a knot, and then he pulls a cake out of his coat and gives it to Harry. Now, this is maybe just a common theme that I have with Hagrid in all his modes of transportation and everything. But how on earth is this cake still a cake when it was stuffed inside his coat for this whole traveling time? Magic?
Yeah. Also, how did Hagrid get there?
I always thought he came on Sirius's bike.
But they leave.
With his
We find in the next.
umbrella.
No, he's not Mary
Yes, he did.
Poppins. He's Hagrid.
He he used his umbrella to get there.
No, he didn't, Jared.
Yes, he did.
No. Okay, but
He's-
they leave
he's-
later. We find out
he's
later they
magic.
leave in a boat. They leave in the boat.
The
Right?
speedboat rowboat?
They leave in the rowboat that the Dursleys came there on, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So how did the Dursleys get off the shack back to the mainland? Or am I missing something? Maybe
old
Hagrid
man.
came in a different boat.
Maybe.
Hagrid must have came up with a different boat because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. Anyways. Yeah. So Harry has no idea who this guy is or what Hogwarts is, and Hagrid's all sorts of confused. And Hagrid starts cooking up a fire, cooks some sausages, and Harry again, he asks Hagrid who he is, and Hagrid finds out that Harry knows nothing, and he gets hot. He starts yelling at the Dursleys, and he can't believe Harry doesn't know anything. To which Harry has a sick line where he's like, "I know some things like math and stuff." It's like, bro, you're so out of left field right here.
yeah.
So Hagrid has a little back and forth with Vernon Dursley. Then we get the famous line where Hagrid says, "Harry, you're a wizard." Like, dun, dun, dun. That was a bad impression. Taylor, do a better impression.
I can't do a better impression. Also, it's different than what everyone thinks it is. You're a wizard, Harry. But it's like the opposite of that.
Did you just finish smoking like 10 packs of cigarettes?
Well, yeah.
You're a wizard, Harry. And probably a thumping good one. I'm going to start using a thumping good one. And Harry's just like in shock. Then Hagrid pulls out a live owl from his coat that keeps on giving and writes dumbly saying, "I got Harry, his letter, everything's okay." Then we figure out what a muggle is, the non-magic type, right? Now, Jared, is that what you expected?
I told you I had no clue what a muggle was. Muggle sounds like an animal. A meagle, a muzzle, muggle, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. Then we also find out that Petunia has some real pent-up animosity about her sister. She starts going off about how Lily was her mom's favorite because she could do magic and Petunia couldn't, and basically she's all sorts of upset about it. Then Harry learns that his parents did not actually die in a car crash, and they were murdered. And then we hear a little bit more about Voldy's story from Hagrid. He says that Voldy is worse than the worst, and he killed all those people who stood up to him. He killed Harry's parents, but couldn't kill Harry, and we figure out that Harry's scar is from an evil curse that touched him. And then Voldy even blew up part of the whole house, but Harry didn't die. So just adding a little bit more to the Voldy lore.
See, he still could have fell down a cliff. Blew up the house. There he went. Down he went.
Yes.
So up the house, down the cliff.
The most powerful wizard died of physical means, not by magic. Yep, Jared, that's what happened.
Well, after his magic ceased to work, he just fell into the hole that he made. And, yeah,
yes, you're right.
Basically.
Yeah. So Vernon then starts dissing all the Potters, and Hagrid gets even more ticked. He takes points a pink umbrella like a sword at Vernon's chest to make him shut up. Which is like, you think about it, you have a 12-foot guy with a 175-inch waist pointing an umbrella at you. I would do whatever he says.
Yep.
He gets done threatening Vernon, and he gets back to the story about Voldemort. And Harry asks, what happened to you know who? And then Hagrid answers him. Good question, Harry. Disappeared.
Oh, that's a good voice.
Vanished. Same night he tried to kill you. Makes you even more famous. That's the biggest mystery, see? He was getting more and more powerful. Why'd he go? Some say he died. Codswallop, in my opinion. Some say he's still out there, biding his time. But I don't believe it. People who was on his side came back to ours. Some of them came out of kind trances. Don't reckon they could have done it if he was coming back. Most of us reckon he's still out there, but lost his powers. Too weak to carry on. So, didn't fall off a cliff.
No, he lost his powers, and then he fell off a cliff.
So, yeah. Hey, Voldemort's gone. People came back to the good side after that happened, and everyone's back to normal. Let's see. Hagrid then Harry thinks it's a big mistake, that he can't be a wizard. And Hagrid tells Harry to think of times when stuff happened that he couldn't explain. Harry begins to think about stuff and realizes that there's a lot of things. And yeah, it's kind of amazing that some of the stuff that happens, people don't die from, you know? There's a couple of them in here. Oh man, what are they?
Like setting a snake free. Not just any snake, a boa constrictor, like a huge snake.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just something that came to my mind. It's like all this stuff happens. It can't just be Harry that the only one that this stuff happens to. There's got to be others, and it just surprised me. There's not more, or maybe people do die and they just don't care about it because they're Muggles. I don't know.
And it's magic.
And it's magic. All right, so then Vernon insults Dumbly, and Hagrid gets real ticked, and yells at Uncle Vernon and says,
"Never insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me."
and then he gives him he points the umbrella.
He brings his umbrella down, swishing through the air to point at Dudley. There's a flash of light, and then what does Dudley get, Jared?
A pigtail or something like that.
Yup.
He boom roasts him too.
Boom roasts him later. Oh man, it was a sick burn.
I also had a question here. So Hagrid says never insult Dumbly in front of him. Does that mean he's fine if it like behind his back and stuff?
Colin, that's just a common
That's the
phrase.
dumbest question I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Man, you guys aren't jumping all over this stuff. Anyways,
He gets a sick burn on Dudley saying, shouldn't have lost me temper, he said ruefully. But it didn't work anyway. Meant to turn him into a pig. But I suppose he was too much like a pig anyway. There wasn't much left to do.
sick burn, bro.
Sick
Harry-
burn.
Harry's got 2 sick burns. Haggard's got 1. We should have a sick burn counter.
Yeah, it's Harry's. Harry's got 1. Hagrid's got 1.
Harry's got 2.
Harry's got 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll keep a dedicated list going for this.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hagrid. We find out that Hagrid is not supposed to do magic because he got expelled from Hogwarts, but he won't say why. And then the chapter ends up with Hagrid giving his coat to Harry to kip under, which I'm not sure what that word means.
Kip under? It probably just means snuggle up. Snuggle up here, boy.
So Hagrid, so I'm going to paint this picture for you, Taylor. A dude walks over to your vacation house, busts down the door, bends a rifle in half.
Not just any dude. Not just any dude. A very, very, very large dude.
A giant.
Just big boy.
Turns his cousin into a pig, and then says, "Here, come snuggle next to me under my coat."
Yeah. Sounds like a great idea.
Sure.
Don't mind if I do. Don't mind. And then he says this. Don't mind if it wiggles a bit. I think I still got a couple of dormice in one of the pockets. Yeah. Let me just come up and snuggle up under your furry coat, Hagrid. Sounds like a good idea. Stranger. Complete stranger.
But
he gave him a cake. So, I mean, he gave him a cake.
He did give him a cake. Yeah, so that's the end of the chapter.
Yep.
Yeah, so then we get to the next chapter.
Let's have Jared introduce the next chapter name. What's the name of the next chapter?
Diagon Alley.
Okay, now Jared, I need you to say that 3 times fast.
Okay. Diagon Alley, Diagon Alley, Diagon Alley.
Are you seeing? Did you pick up J.K. Rowling's very clever naming of this alley yet?
No, I haven't seen it.
No, you didn't. You still don't get it. Okay, pretend like the 2 words. There's no space in between the 2 words. Then what would it say?
Diagonally. Diagonally. Oh! Oh man, I didn't know this was Mad Gab.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh man.
Chapter 5. Diagon Alley. Diagon Alley.
Diagon Alley. Here we go.
Harry wakes up in the morning and he's pretty sure it was all a dream. He's really hoping it wasn't, but he's pretty sure it was. Here's a tap, tap, tap on the window, and that's when he knows it wasn't a dream because there's an owl sitting there. So the owl comes in, delivers the paper, and then he starts pecking and nipping at Harry and Hagrid because he wants payment. So Hagrid goes and gives him 5 knuts and realizes, or Hagrid tells him to get 5 knuts and realizes Harry has no money. So Harry's like, what am I going to do? He finds out it's in Hagrid's coat that just continues to keep on giving. I had a question here. So you give an owl money. What does the owl do with money?
It goes back to the newspaper place.
Oh.
Yeah, would you think that the owl was like keeping its own money or something?
I just figured the owl did it of its own accord, so he'd rather have food or something, but I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. For me.
I'm glad we cleared that up for you, Colin.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then we hear about Gringotts, which is the only wizard bank in the world, the only one, which I did not know. Like, it's in London, but I figured there'd be one like everywhere else because there's probably other wizards. But can you imagine what?
Yeah, just a few wizards probably.
Can you imagine if you had to go to the bank and you had to travel like across the Atlantic Ocean?
That'd be cool.
What if you didn't have
Yeah.
enough money to get there?
Did they really say it's the only bank?
It said it's the only bank.
What page?
That's what Hagrid says. Page 63, it says, Harry goes, Wizard have banks? And Hagrid goes, just one.
Just the one. Oh yeah, just the one. You're right.
Run by goblins.
Just the one. Gringotts. Run by goblins.
Okay. You're the official.
Goblins?
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, then we figure out that it's very well protected by spells and enchantments and dragons, not to mention it's 100 miles below London. So it could exist. It does exist. I've been there. But it could exist for you muggles that haven't been there, just so you know. The paper was the Daily Prophet. We also learned about the Ministry of Magic and that there's a Minister of Magic who is Cornelius Fudge. And Hagrid says, bungler if there ever was one. So he pelts Dumbledore with owls every morning asking for advice. So basically, his job is to keep the muggles from knowing that wizards exist.
Add a sick burn to Hagrid's count.
Yeah, 2-2. Then Hagrid says, okay, time to go. They leave. And Hagrid takes him through London to the Leaky Cauldron. And only he and Harry could see it. So like step inside. And here's another question for you. What would this look like to muggles?
An abandoned building.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
But it says they can't.
Jared, what do you think?
It's an alleyway, and then you just walk through this magic door, and then you're into something else. So it's an alley.
They like disappear, don't they?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just magic. Yeah, magic.
It's magic. They have magic set up. Oh, so then we get into the Leaky Cauldron, and we got another sick Harry roast. He says that the bartender Tom looks like a toothless walnut.
Oh, you got him good there.
Oh man. And then everyone in the pub starts going nuts over Harry. He meets a bunch of different people. There's like Daedalus Diggle, who he recognizes from a guy that bowed to him earlier in the book. He meets the first of many of his profs, Professor Quirrell, and he's the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, and shakes Harry's hand. Oh yeah, and there's Doris Crockford, who just can't stop shaking Harry's hand. But well, I suppose if you're famous, that would happen. Just ask Britney Spears.
That was one of the weirdest points in the whole book. This lady that keeps shaking his hand.
Yeah.
So random.
And then Hagrid takes him through. They go to the back, and they tap the bricks in a specific way. And the bricks start unfolding and rolling in on themselves. And we are in, Jared?
I don't know.
We are in Diagon Alley.
Oh.
Jared, did you even read the book? Your reading what was your reading comprehension score on your SAT?
Terrible. Awful.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, it just didn't cross my mind. I was Diagon Alley. What does that have anything to do with anything?
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Oh, yeah. We're in Diagon Alley. And they start walking.
Man, that makes way more sense now.
What?
Time out. I realized there was something I really wanted to say in Chapter 3, and I forgot completely. So can we pretend like we're talking about Chapter 3 and I can say it?
Yeah, let's 1 second. Let me do the rewind sound. Woo! Okay, chapter 3.
So one neat thing that J.K. did with them going across the water into that shack is there's an old superstition that witches can't cross water. So that was kind of cool.
Witches?
So Vernon was, yeah, witches can't cross water. You know, like Monty Python, if she floats like a duck, then she's a witch. You know that?
No.
You've never seen Monty Python?
I've seen it,
Okay.
but I do not remember that. I didn't know
come on.
witches can't cross water.
That's an old superstition. So it's a play to that. Like, there he's trying to escape the magic by going across the water to sleep in this random shack.
Oh, very interesting.
That's kind of neat. That's why he was so happy when he found the shack, because he was convinced there was no way he was gonna get any magic.
Dude, that's awesome. I did not know that. Cool.
Well, now you know.
Facts from Taylor. Yeah, so anyways, we're back in Diagon Alley. And they're walking through, and Harry sees lots of owl shops and broom shops and robe shops and cauldron shops and all kinds of stuff. All the witching and wizarding necessities. But not
like
just
cauldrons.
Right, but not just
and racing brooms.
But not just the bear. You suck. That was a sweet joke, and you were just gonna do that. Oh my word.
Okay. But not
just the bare necessities. It's not funny.
How is that a joke? That was a terrible joke. Not even funny.
Oh, you're laughing. Anyways, back to the story, Taylor. Yeah, then we get to Gringotts, and there's a fancy sign with a poem on it about stealing. Taylor, would you care to read that for us?
Enter, stranger, but take heed of what awaits the sin of greed. For those who take but do not earn must pay most dearly in their turn. So if you seek beneath our floors a treasure that was never yours, thief, you have been warned, beware of finding more than treasure there.
So once again, they're kind of pounding home the fact that you cannot steal from this place. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Taylor. This has been a reading from Taylor. So, Hagrid takes Harry to go get his money. And you know what? He says to the goblin in Vault 713. So they get on the goblin takes him back to their cart to go to their vault, and the ride is like a roller coaster, and Hagrid's getting sick. Then we get a little bit of learning on wizard money. So we have 17 sickles to a galleon, 29 knuts to a sickle. Simple, really. So that means that there's 493 knuts to a galleon. Now, make sure you remember that, Jared. There's going to be a quiz on this at the end of the chapter.
Okay, sure.
So they stop and get Harry some money. Then they stop at Vault 713 and get a small brown package. Now, Jared, do you have any thoughts on what this package could be?
I was going to ask that question. We never found out.
Right.
It just disappeared.
Because it's strictly Hogwarts business.
Nah.
So you have no hunch
That's
as to what
dumb.
that could be?
It's Hagrid's wand, and it's got some sort of bird in there that they're like keeping in a cage.
Okay. It's
I have
Hagrid's.
no idea what it is.
Okay. Okay. Then they leave Gringotts, and Hagrid goes into another store. I think it's Madame Malkin's to get size for robes. And Harry meets a pointy-faced privileged boy. And we begin to learn about Hogwarts a little bit. So that boy is talking a little bit about Quidditch and a couple different houses at Gryffindor or at Hogwarts. So here's a question for Jared. What do you think Quidditch is?
Well, the only thing that I knew is it had brooms or 4 brooms or something like that. 4 brooms, 4 players.
Oh, they like what are the brooms? What do they do with the brooms?
Balls. They have 4
What
balls.
do they do with the brooms?
I don't know. It probably hit the balls.
yes. I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that.
So it's like broom ball, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, up in the clouds, there's floats, and then they hit the balls.
In the clouds? They're in the clouds.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. Magic.
Hagrid explains it a little bit. He says it's wizard sport. It's like soccer in the Muggle world, but it's played in the air on broomsticks, and there's 4 balls. And that's all we get about that for now. He also tells us that there's 4 houses in Hogwarts. We learned that everyone says Hufflepuff are a lot of duffers.
Sick burn. Hagrid's winning 3-2. He might have 5. 5-2.
And they find out that who also went to Hogwarts and was a Slytherin. So yeah, they continue on to get the rest of Harry's stuff, and Hagrid gets him an owl, and then Harry goes to get his wand from Ollivander's. So Harry goes into Ollivander's shop, and Ollivander tells him that he remembers exactly his dad's size wand and his mom's and what they were. And then we get the wand chooses the wizard line. We figure out Ollivander tells us that wands have 3 cores: unicorn hairs, phoenix tail feathers, and dragon heartstrings.
That's it?
Well, that's what the good ones are. He said, I think there's a thing that there's other ones that other people make that aren't as good, but that's the only stuff that Ollivander uses.
Oh, okay.
But this would be a good spot to insert Taylor's helpful tips and tricks about wand lore.
I don't have any.
This has been Taylor's tips and tricks about wand lore.
Yep.
Okay. So
I didn't know that was coming, but okay.
Harry gets his wand, and he finds out Ollivander, very mysterious indeed, because its brother gave Harry that scar. There's a little excerpt here I wanted to read, if I can find it. I remember every wand I've ever sold, Mr. Potter. Every single wand. It just so happens that the phoenix whose tail feather is in your wand gave another feather, just one other. It's very curious, indeed, that you should be destined for this wand when its brother, its brother gave you that scar. So yeah.
Also, props to Jim Dale and Stephen Fry on reading books, because that's not easy to do.
And
to do it good.
Yeah. So yeah, Harry gets his wand. It costs 7 gold galleons. Anybody want to take a guess at how many knuts that is?
46.
Jared, a guess?
182 and a half.
It's 3,451 or 57.
Oh.
I can't read my own handwriting. So you were pretty close. Anyways, the chapter ends with Harry and Hagrid eating burgers, and Harry being worried about not knowing anything about magic. He's kind of freaking out a little bit. And then Hagrid gives Harry his Hogwarts tickets, and they part ways. So it's the end of that chapter. Chapter 6. The Journey from Platform 9 3/4. So we open again at the Dursleys, and Dudley still has the tail. This is a month later, and Dudley still has the tail. I couldn't believe that.
What do you do? Cut it off with the kitchen scissors?
I don't know. Do you think it would hurt if they did?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, I needed to get to platform 9 3/4. So, also, a side note, Harry named his owl. Actually, Jared, what did Harry name his owl?
Oh, Emerald, MZ, I don't remember what it was.
Okay. You gotta follow. This podcast is about you. You need to follow along.
He named his owl Hedwig.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. Then the Dursleys bring Harry to platform 9 and 10, and they just leave him. They leave 11-year-old boy in the middle of London with no
Just
phone,
laughing their heads off.
no money, and Harry can't find the platform and is freaking out. Rightfully so. I would be freaking out as well. Then he overhears others who are going to 9 3/4, and we get to meet the Weasleys. We meet
With their
Mrs.
flaming red hair.
Flaming Red
Which is
Hair.
a cool, great description.
Yes, we meet Mrs. Weasley, Percy, the twins, Fred and George, Ron, and Ginny.
Oh, you ruined it.
Ruin what?
We're gonna have him say that last name.
Okay, Jared, what's Ron's sister's name?
Ginny.
Ah, he got it.
He got it. Okay.
Uh.
Yeah, so he meets the Weasleys. They tell him he needs to run at the wall to get to platform 9 3/4. And Harry kind of freaks out a little bit about this, but he does it, and he gets to platform 9 3/4. This is just another one of those things I wanted to bring up. Like, how do people not see this? Magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how did the
definitely.
train that brought him to Hogwarts? Nobody saw that thing either.
No magic.
Well, it's like that's like a parallel universe or something. Like they walk through the wall and then there's a whole nother train station, it seems like. To me. That's how I always pictured it. But anyways, Harry runs through the wall and we see the Scarlet Steam Engine, the Hogwarts Express. Harry goes and finds an empty compartment, and the twins find out that he's Harry Potter. He's famous, you know. So we get a peek at the life of the Weasleys a little bit. The Weasley twins. Turns out that they are the troublemakers and the jokesters.
And they're awesome.
And they're awesome.
And we also meet Percy, who is the opposite of awesome.
Correct. So the train leaves the station, and Ron joins Harry in his compartment. Ron lets Harry know about his family. He's got 5 brothers: Bill, Charlie, Percy, Fred, and George. And he's super worried about living up to their expectations. Harry and Ron start bonding because they're both worried about being bad and freaking out. And then Harry starts sharing his candy with him, and they just become just the bestest of buds while in this compartment. Harry gets some chocolate frogs, and he gets a chocolate frog card, and it's Dumbledore. And basically, he's just a baller. His card says, considered by many the greatest wizard of modern times, Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the dark wizard Grindelwald in 1945, for the discovery of 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work on alchemy with his partner, Nicholas Flamel. Professor Dumbledore enjoys chamber music and 10-pin bowling. So yeah, basically defeated the most famous dark wizard. Pretty much a baller. Then we have
And
more
Harry
about.
turns the card over, and Dumbledore's gone.
Oh yeah, he does. Because you can't expect him to stick around all day now, can you? That was my Ron. Pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah. What do you think about that, Jared? What's going on there?
That the card disappears.
No, he the face moves in the card, like the baseball card for wizards.
That would be sweet. Imagine if baseball cards did that today. Oh man.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like a GIF, isn't it? GIF.
Well, you can get those baseball cards that
The hologram. or
Yeah,
what-
the holographic ones where you turn them slightly and then the guy moves like this.
For all of those who don't know, Taylor is swinging his arms violently right now. Okay. So yeah, then there's more bonding, eating candy, yada yada. Then Ron wants to turn Scabbers, his pet rat, his name's Scabbers, yellow, and a bushy-haired, bossy, buck-toothed girl walks in.
What's her
How'd-
name, Jared?
Yeah,
Say
Jared,
her
what-
name.
What is her name?
This girl's name is Hermione Granger.
That's actually pretty close.
You can't make this stuff up. It's so classic.
Oh, man.
You nailed the last name. You absolutely nailed the last name.
Hermione.
Hermione. Hermione. Hernia.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
You nailed it.
Okay, try it one more time.
Hermione.
There you
Hermione.
go. You had you.
What? Hermione?
Yeah.
It's
Hermione. Her name's
Hermione.
Hermione.
Her name is Hermione.
Hermione Granger. You got it. First try.
So Ron clears his throat and he does his spell. Sunshines, daisies, buttermellow. Turn the stupid fat rat yellow. He waves his wand and nothing happens. And we get a sick Hermione burn. Are you sure that's a
Hermione
real
gets one.
spell? Well, it's not very good, is it?
Oh man, which I need to talk about that. So, Ron, how can he even think that that's close to being the right spell? Like, he grew up in a wizarding family.
Well, we don't know what any spells are. He doesn't.
But he would. He would.
No, he wouldn't, because they would just all do. It's not like they're doing magic all the time at home, are they?
Wouldn't you? If you could.
Maybe, but can't you do it a way where people can't tell what you're saying?
Okay. Anyway, whatever. It's just a plot point. Moving on.
It's a good way to just roast Ron, really. That's what it is.
Yeah. True. Hermione gets one.
Hermione gets one. So it turns out that Hermione Granger is Muggle-born. So neither of her parents were witches or wizards, which is the first one of those, I believe, that we've met so far, correct?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Then we have a brief discussion about houses, and Ron gets all gloomy because he's like, all my brothers were in Gryffindor, but I'm worried about not being in Gryffindor. And then he talks about what his brothers do. He says Charlie's in Romania studying dragons, Bill's in Africa doing something for Gringotts, and then he says, did you hear what happened at Gringotts? It's been all over the Daily Prophet. Someone tried to rob a high security vault. Did you see this coming, Jared, or did you not see this coming?
No, did not see this coming. Also, didn't you say there's only one bank?
Yes,
Yeah. So.
Oh, they didn't rob the bank?
they did.
No, they tried to rob Gringotts. The
Oh,
bank.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
So, the most safest place in the world, besides Hogwarts, of course.
And they didn't get
Someone
caught.
tried to rob it, and they didn't get caught. And they didn't steal anything. No one saw anything stolen.
And they didn't steal anything. Mysterious, most mysterious.
Jared, do you think it had anything to do with what Harry and Hagrid went to Gringotts for?
No, that never crossed my mind.
Okay,
That was a brown bag,
true.
brown box.
Then they start talking a little bit about Quidditch, what your favorite Quidditch team is.
Which we all know Quidditch is broom ball played up in the clouds.
Mhm.
Correct.
That's what it is.
7 players.
Yep.
7 players.
4 balls.
4 balls, 7 players. Then the pointy-faced privileged boy comes into his compartment. with his goons Crab and Goyle. And Jared, we find out that this boy's name is
Neville.
What did you say?
Okay, this is a different. We're talking. That's the boy you lost his stone. What's his name?
Neville.
Okay.
Yes, wait, you said his name's Neville?
Yeah. Yep. Right on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
different boy.
This is the other boy. This is page 108. He said, "And my name's."
Malfoy. Draco Malfoy.
Oh, nailed it.
Got it. Nice job.
Yes.
Jared gets a point.
1 for 6.
Yeah. So we learn out his name is Draco Malfoy, and he and Harry, they have back-to-back roasts. So after he says his name, Ron sniggers a little bit, and then he goes, "Think my name's funny, do you? No need to ask who you are. My father told me all the Weasleys have red hair, freckles, and more children than they can afford."
Boom, roasted.
Sick,
That's a
sick roast.
cruel 11-year-old burn right there. Oh man.
Yeah. Then he turns to Harry. He says, "You'll find out soon that wizarding families are much better than others. Or some are much better than others. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there." Then Harry claps back. He claps back at him and says, "I think I can tell who the wrong sort are for myself. Thanks."
Ooh, score one for Harry.
That's a sick burn, bro. Sick burn. They start fighting a little bit. There's a little bit of a scrum. Scabbers breaks it up by chomping into Goyle's finger. He breaks up the fight and then just gets knocked out hard by getting thrown out the window. This guy, he's gone. Down for the count. Then we learned that the Malfoys were the first to come back after you-know-who disappeared. So you find out that they were on the bad side, but now apparently they came back to the good side. And then the chapter ends with Hagrid taking all the first years back to Hogwarts on the boats across the lake.
And they knock on the door.
3 times. 3 times.
Did you hear that knock?
Yep.
There it is. That was it. Good sound effects.
Thanks.
Chapter 7, The Sorting Hat. So Harry is greeted by Professor McGonagall, who explains the 4 houses at Hogwarts, which are Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin. The House Cup, House Point, and the Sorting Hat, which is how they will be sorted. She then leaves them to get everybody else ready, and the ghosts show up. They have a brief chat with some of the ghosts, I think, and then McGonagall comes back to bring them into the Great Hall. So they walk into the Great Hall and they see all kinds of other students and teachers and the Sorting Hat sitting on a stool up at the front. Then everybody directs their attention to the Sorting Hat, where it sings its song. So in the Sorting Hat song, it tells us a little bit about the characteristics of each house. Gryffindor is where the brave go. Hufflepuff are for the just and loyal. Ravenclaw is for those who have wit and learning. And Slytherin is for the cunning who use any means to achieve their ends. Now, based off those descriptions, Jared, which house do you think you would be in?
I'm wit and cunning.
So you're a Slytherin.
Yep.
Or are you a Ravenclaw? Because that's kind of a mix.
Well, Slytherin always was made to be sound bad, so I don't like that one. But so I guess I'm gonna go Ravenclaw.
Okay.
All right, so then the hat starts sorting people after its song, and Harry is just freaking out. They go through all the different people. It yells out, Hufflepuff, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor for Hermione, Gryffindor, Gryffindor, Slytherin. And then Malfoy gets up. And before it even touches his head, or hardly touches his head, and they scream Slytherin. So we get all the way down to, it goes alphabetically. So Malfoy, and then after Malfoy is...
After Malfoy comes Minderhoud. Jared, Mindy Minderhoud. You ready to figure out what house you get sorted into, Jared?
Yeah. Tell me which one it is.
Okay. So I'm on a website that does it. It's called Pottermore. I created an account for you. And we're going to figure out what your house is. You ready?
Yep. Go for it.
Okay. The sorting process, I'm just going to start asking you some questions and you need to answer. And just, this one is pick one. River or forest?
Forest.
Okay. Now I need you to select a category. Cats, toads, or owls?
Owls.
If you were attending Hogwarts, which pet would you choose to take with you? A barn owl, a tawny owl, a snowy owl, or a screech owl? Or, one more, a brown owl.
Snowy owl.
Okay. Which road tempts you most? The twisting, leaf-strewn path through the woods, the wide, sunny, grassy lane, the narrow, dark, lantern-lit alley, or the cobbled street lined with ancient buildings?
The open, wide, sunny road.
Okay. Yep. After you have died, what would you most like people to do when they hear your name? Ask for more stories about your adventures. Miss you, but smile. Think with admiration of your achievements. I don't care what people think about me after I'm dead. It's what they think about me while I'm alive that counts.
Miss me and smile.
Okay. That's so sweet.
What a sweet boy.
Okay, what kind of instrument most pleases your ear? The piano, the drum, the violin, the trumpet, and that's it.
Violin.
Really good choice. Which of the following do you find the most difficult to deal with? Loneliness, boredom, hunger, being ignored, cold.
Loneliness.
Okay.
Poor
That's
Jared.
so sad, Jared. Jared's single.
Hey.
If you have any power, which could you choose? Read minds, change the past, invisibility, speak to animals, superhuman strength, change your appearance at will.
Invisibility.
Interesting. White or black?
White.
Okay. You ready? Sorry, Nat
Yep.
is ready to make its decision. Here it goes. Jared Minderhout.
You are a...
Hufflepuff.
You're an old duffer.
You're an old duffer. Oh, man.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, yes. Okay. There we go.
Jared, do you have any? Do you have a response to this sorting?
I don't know why you're laughing at me. I'm gonna win.
All right. Well, Taylor and I both took this sorting quiz in our past. I got Gryffindor. Taylor, what did you get?
I got Gryffindor.
Oh, so we have two
You guys
Gryffindors
make it.
and a Hufflepuff. Okay. So Jared has been sorted. All right, then they continue on down to Harry Potter. He sits down, and they put the hat on his head, and it starts having a little bit of a chat with him. It goes back and forth, saying it has all the talent to be a good Slytherin. It will make you great. But Harry says he doesn't want to be Slytherin, so then it puts him in Gryffindor. And everybody in Gryffindor table goes wild because they got Potter. They finish the
Yay.
sort. Yeah. Or they finish the sorting with Ron. He also gets Gryffindor, and all the Weasley boys are super juiced because everybody's a Gryffindor. Dumbledore then stands up and gives the best speech in the entire world. Taylor, take it away.
Welcome to a new year at Hogwarts. Before we begin our banquet, I would like to say a few words. And here they are. Nitwit, blubber, oddment, tweak. Thank you.
I have no idea what this means. Personally.
It means nothing. It means he's a bit mad.
He's a little bit.
He's mad, but he's also a genius.
Yep. Okay. Then we get to Taylor's favorite part of the whole book, and that is the feast.
The food.
The food. Harry's mouth fell open. The dishes in front of him were now piled with food. He had never seen so many things he liked to eat on one table. Roast beef, roast chicken, pork chops, lamb chops, sausages, bacon, steak, boiled potatoes, roast potatoes, fries, Yorkshire pudding, peas, carrots, gravy, ketchup, and for some strange reason, peppermint humbugs.
Which those are a mint candy from, I think it is local candy in Liverpool. So,
Really? So here's a question for you, Taylor. Since you're the big food guy here, which one of these things would you focus most of your stomach space on when eating?
No, there's no Indian food, so none of it. Just kidding. I think I'd go for the ketchup.
Cut that out.
Just get all the ketchup.
Gross.
No, roast beef. If you don't say roast beef, there's something wrong with you. Roast beef.
I would agree. Roast beef.
Jared would pick bacon, though.
Nope.
Jared's the only person in the universe who doesn't like bacon.
The first person I've ever met, to be honest with you.
Yep.
All right. Anyways, so Harry and company then meet nearly headless Nick. He's a ghost, and he tells them that the Gryffindors haven't won the House Cup in 6 years, so he really hopes that they're going to help him win it. We get a little bit of Neville's background.
Who? What's his name?
What's his name again, Jared?
I said it. Neville.
You did not. Okay, I'll edit here what Jared really said his name was. I forget what he said, but it was great.
Neville was kind of...
Oh, it was Neville. Neville.
Cruella Neville. He was a little bit of a late bloomer. His family kind of tried to scare or surprise the magic out of him. He says, my great uncle Algie kept trying to catch me off guard and force some magic out of me. He pushed me off the end of Blackpool Pier once. I nearly drowned, but nothing happened until I was 8. He came around for dinner, and he was hanging me out of an upstairs window by the ankles when my great aunt Enid offered him a meringue, I think, and he accidentally let go. But I bounced, and everybody was so happy.
A meringue.
Is that a meringue?
I think it's how you spell meringue. Meringue is meringue is what you said.
I don't do words.
And you guys laugh at my pronunciations.
Oh. Yeah, so then Harry's kind of scanning the room. People are talking about lessons. People are talking about this. People are talking about that. And he looks at the head table. And he sees a bunch of his professors. And he looks at one professor in particular. He says it happened very suddenly. The hook-nosed teacher looked past Quirrell's turban straight into Harry's eyes, and a sharp, hot pain shot across the scar in Harry's forehead. Very interesting. Turns out this is Professor...
Snap. Snappy. Snape.
There you go. This is Professor Snape.
Oh man.
He teaches potions, but he doesn't want to. Everybody knows he's after Quirrell's job. He knows an awful lot about the dark arts, Snape does. So yeah, we get to hear about Professor Snape. And it's very curious that when he looked him in the eyes, there was a sharp hot pain across Harry's forehead. Jared, do you think this has any sort of meaning at all? What do you think this means?
Yeah, he's somehow related to you know who.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting.
How do you think he's related?
Well, he saw the green light both times, so there's some connection.
Okay. I guess we'll wait and see. Then Dumbledore gets up and makes a few more announcements, closing remarks after the feast. He says he's been asked to tell everybody that the forest is forbidden. The forest on the grounds is forbidden. That Quidditch trials will be held the second week of the term. And that this year, the third floor corridor on the right-hand side is out of bounds to anybody who does not wish to die a very painful death. So
Sounds
yeah,
like a safe place to go to school.
I would love to send my kids there. I don't have kids, but I would love to send them there. So yeah, then he says, all right, now it's time. Before we go to bed, we're going to sing the school song. Now, Jared and Taylor are going to sing this together for us.
No, we're not. We're not doing that.
Yes.
Nope. No,
Yes,
no.
you are.
Nope.
No. Okay. Moving on.
All right, then they head back to the dorm rooms, and they run into Peeves, the poltergeist. And basically, he's just a pain in the butt. Is that
Jared,
correct?
do you know what a poltergeist is?
Nope.
It's basically a ghost who can move things and semi-physical ghost, I think. Right, Colin?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I know he can move things.
Yep.
So, yeah. Then the chapter ends with them. Or they get to their room. Or they get to their dorm. They say the password to the portrait. Swings
fat
open.
lady.
Fat lady. And then they find themselves in Gryffindor common room. They climb up to their tower and go to their beds. And the chapter ends with Harry having a strange dream. This dream is he was wearing Professor Quirrell's turban, which kept talking to him, telling him he must transfer to Slytherin at once because it was his destiny. Harry told the turban he didn't want to be a Slytherin. It got heavier and heavier. He tried to pull it off, but it tightened painfully. And then there was Malfoy, laughing at him as he struggled with it. Then Malfoy turned into the hook-nosed teacher, Snape, whose laugh became high and cold. There was a burst of green light, and Harry woke, sweating and shaking. He rolled over and fell asleep again, and when he woke the next day, he didn't remember the dream at all. And that is the end of the chapter. Jared, how are you feeling right now? What do you think so far?
Well, I got my feet wet,
Yeah.
but I don't know where it's going from here.
No clue.
Not a clue.
The
What do
title
you-
of the book doesn't. What's the title of the book again, Jared?
The Sorcerer's Stone.
Okay. What is no clues on what that might be?
Nope. Somehow
Nope.
there's got to be something with Quidditch. And then there's going to be a stone, and then I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay, fair enough.
So
But you're excited. You're excited, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think about this world she's kind of building here? Can you appreciate it for being a sweet wizarding world, or is it just kind of like this is children's stuff? I don't want anything to do with this.
It's magic.
Yes, it is, Jared.
Very observant of you. I guess the last question I wanted to address, I want to have a quick chat about our logo and the updates of what you figured out relating to it. So do you have any insight there you want to shed?
Well, so the lightning bolt isn't really a lightning bolt anymore, I guess. Well, it's the scar on Harry Potter's face. And then he wears the glasses, so we got that figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the house, I don't know. Maybe it's Gryffindor. And
That's a
what was the
greenhouse, right? It's a greenhouse.
yep. And
Okay.
then the other thing was a symbol or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still don't have no clue what that is.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you got most of it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to rate and review us. It may not seem like much, but it really does help. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Keepers Pod. And if you want to take the next step in supporting the show, check us out at patreon.com/SecretKeepersPod. Become a patron and just take the next step in supporting us. So that's all for now. So until next time, we solemnly swear we'll be up to no good.